Hi, my name is Elizabeth Hayes. I'm 22 years old, and as of this May, I'll be graduating with my Bachelor's of Science in Biology. And after graduation, I plan on continuing to build my resume and expand my knowledge around the primate community, especially gray apes. My ultimate goal is to become a full-time caregiver in a gray ape sanctuary community, helping to provide those primates with the best quality of life possible. And starting college, I knew that I wanted to work with exotic animals in a zoo or a sanctuary type setting, and to learn what I worked best with, I started 2 different internships with the Chattanooga Zoo, working with all kinds of animals. Particularly, what got me interested in primates was my work in the South American department. They had capybaras and big prehensile-tailed porcupine and some spider monkeys. And there was one spider monkey in particular that had to stay in a separate exhibit. It was a male, and it didn't get along with the other male that was in the group that they had, so it had to be kept inside for a lot of the day. So I spent a lot of time with him in that building, cleaning up after him and getting things prepared for their meals and things. So I really fell in love with their spider monkeys, and so after that, that's what made me request to work with their chimpanzee troop. During my first internship, the 7 chimpanzees that are at the Chattanooga Zoo arrived, and I saw the day that they came in to the Chattanooga Zoo, and I knew that I really wanted to get the experience to go and work with them. So I applied for their chimpanzee internship, and I got it. So I worked with them for about 4 months with their chimpanzees, and they also had mangabeys, so I have experience working with their mangabey monkeys and their chimpanzees. But that's really what made me fall in love with gray apes in particular, is their troop there. They came from a research facility down in Atlanta, from Yerkes Research Facility, and then I helped with the Brookfield Zoo. They were doing a partnership with the Chattanooga Zoo called Welfare Track, and it was just to monitor chimpanzee welfare in captivity. So I helped monitor their behaviors. I took videos, I collected fecal samples and put special dye in their foods, and audio recorded different behaviors that they were exhibiting throughout the day. So that really helped give me an insight, spending so much time observing these chimpanzees into their daily life. I remember the first week I interned there, Keeper had set out a puzzle feeder, and it had these cups in it that had peanut butter and honey and things, and they set it just outside the mesh where the chimps couldn't reach it with their fingers. So they all dispersed and went and grabbed bamboo sticks for probes and started sticking them through the mesh to get the peanut butter out. And I was just amazed by the fact that they had figured out how to use these tools, and they really were using tools in all different scenarios. We had all kinds of enrichment for them to use, and just to know how smart they are. I really wanted to learn more about them and learn how to care for them. So I'm interested in the PRC specifically because I already have experience working in a zoo environment, and in the zoo environment they kind of have to distribute half and half of their attention to guests and then half their attention to the animals. And I definitely think zoos have an awesome role in the community, getting to explain why these animals are important and how awesome they are, and raising awareness on how we can conserve these animals in the wild and protect them. But I also really want to get experience working in a sanctuary setting. Really feel like that's my calling, to be able to focus solely on the animals, and I think the PRC will let me have the ability to do that and figure out different ways that I can help these animals throughout the day. And I have currently applied to be considered for internships at other places, one of them being Chimp Haven in Louisiana, to work in their environmental enrichment department, and also the Center for Great Apes. And I'm also looking at caregiving positions for Project Chimps down in Blue Ridge, Georgia. So I'm really just interested in gaining all of the experience possible that I can get for my future career. And as for moving up to Kentucky, I really don't have any concerns about being in a rural environment. I actually prefer that over larger cities. I kind of grew up in a smaller town myself, and I think that's where I'm the most comfortable at. And As for the question regarding the most boring job, I'm very firm that I've ever done. I'm a very firm believer in that if you work in a job that you love, then you never work a day in your life. So I've really kind of made that my focus, even starting out college. When I needed to get a job to help pay my bills, I became a tour guide for a local cave for Ruby Falls, and that has been a really awesome, great experience. Get to meet people from all over the world. It's been a really fun escape because I do have to spend my time working, but I really enjoyed that job. And as an intern for the Chattanooga Zoo, I also did that during my time, and then that kind of helped me figure out what I wanted to do with my life after college. So that gave me a great experience, but there was nothing during my internship that I just absolutely hated or thought was really boring. I think something that comes to my mind, that a task that would be boring would be if I were confined to one room for a whole day, like just if I had to be in an office type setting every single day, being on the computer, not being able outside. I really like being able to move around, interacting with the environment, being outside. So that is my ideal job, is to be able to be out and be moving, and I think primate caregiving is a great opportunity for that. And I also, as a cave guide and as an intern, I had a lot of experience with self-motivation and working alone to accomplish tasks. As an intern for a zoo, there's not somebody standing over you the entire time making sure you get your tasks done. They just give you a list and they're expecting you to do your job and do what's asked of you. And really the biggest letdown if you don't do that is the animals not being cared for properly. So that's not something that you can just lack or skip doing tasks. Those animals are really relying on you. They are not able to do it for themselves. So that's a really big self-motivator there, is to do it for their own personal needs. And also being a cave guide. I was a cave guide for 3 years. I still currently am a cave guide. That's something where they just let you loose. You grab your tour together, you go down into the cave, and you lead them through. You spend about an hour and a half down in the cave walking with your group, telling them about the formations and the history and all the geology of the cave and the waterfall. So you get to meet people from all over the world, and I think that's really awesome. And in my spare time, I love being outside. I love hiking, and more recently I've gotten into caving with some of the people at work. And caving will teach you a lot about teamwork. It can become a dangerous situation if everybody's not communicating and not moving at the same pace. So you really got to make sure that everybody's on the same page and everybody's able to do the task at hand. And then something that would make me angry, I guess, would be complaining. I'm one of those glasses half full type people, so I just feel like complaining doesn't really resolve any issues. And then something that makes me happy is trying new things. I really like kind of doing out of the ordinary things. Like right now, I'm in the process of trying to teach myself how to ride a unicycle. That's been really entertaining. I smile the entire time I'm doing it. Haven't gotten to hurt too bad yet, but things could change. And I don't have any pets at the moment. My most recent pet was a betta fish that I had last year, and then he passed away. And then before that, I had 2 hermit crabs. That was the start of my college career. I had 2 hermit crabs. You really can't have anything bigger than a fish or hermit crab. With all of I just had so many things going on. It's very time consuming during college, and I just didn't have the time to dedicate to a cat or a dog or something that needs that attention. So I stuck to the smaller fish and hermit crabs while I was in college. And then before college, at home, we grew up in a house that always had a lot of animals, a lot of rescue pets. Our dog, George, we had him for 13 years before he passed away, but they call him a Winn-Dixie dog. He kept breaking into a store, and the owner needed somebody to take him out before they had to send him away. So we took in that dog, and then we've had 2 cats throughout the years. One of them was a stray that had babies underneath our porch and then decided to hang out, so we fed it and took care of it and took it to the vet. And then I've had a hamster and 2 different bunnies throughout the years. So we've always had some kind of pet around the house and outside that we cared for. And but yeah, no pets at the moment. All right, and 5 adjectives that describe my personality. I would say compassionate, friendly, responsible, determined, and enthusiastic. I think enthusiastic is probably the biggest one. A lot of people tell me that I'm way too happy, way too early in the morning. And I've always, for my strengths, I've always had pretty good time management skills. I have a big planner that I check daily. I always write my things down in, and I like to make lists to stay organized and to stay on top of things. And I'm not afraid to ask questions. I never pretend like I know what I'm doing if I'm actually uncertain. I think it's really important to have all the facts straight, and it's never a bad thing to admit that you don't know something. Nobody knows everything. You don't have to pretend like you know everything, so I'm not ashamed to ask questions. I think that's very important. And then something I would say is a weakness is that I tend to always see on the bright side of people, and sometimes people can take advantage of that. But moving on to thinking, my favorite part working at the PRC, I believe, would be obviously making a physical difference in the lives of these animals by providing meals for them, cleaning their enclosures, making enrichment for them to interact with. And I imagine after getting to know them for such a long period of time during the internship that the most difficult thing, or my least favorite part of the internship, will be having to leave them after forming those bonds with them. Besides that, I don't really have any concerns regarding becoming an intern. I really look forward to the possibility of becoming an intern and becoming a part of the Primate Rescue Center community, and I really thank you for considering me for the position.